Welcome to the Acorn Land Lab podcast. Here we discuss off-grid living, permaculture food systems, local sustainability, and resilient circular systems, and give local power to local people. Our mission is building off-grid systems that make life better for us normal people. We build examples and discuss ideas around our 5 basic physiological needs as humans: local food, clean water, local energy, creative shelter, and green sanitation. Our goal is to help pioneer affordable, independent, enjoyable methods of living locally with our community.
All right, welcome to our second podcast. For those that don't know, we're actually brothers, and we're the ones that just kind of spearheaded the direction of Acorn Land Labs. But anyway, I'll cut right to today's subject because it's one that I'm really interested in and you know a lot about, so I can't wait to ask you more questions on it. I think the name we've gone with is Goldilocks, and that's kind of like the name for this podcast because it's about the Goldilocks phase. Do you want to talk about what that is and just kind of, walk me through the time period of it and then where we are now?
Absolutely. But first you need to ask what my name is.
Oh yeah, what is your name?
I'm Kimball Hildreth. This is my little brother, Joe Hildreth.
But definitely taller brother.
I'm still the big brother. So Joe and I have been working together on this project under Acorn Land Labs for some time now with a talented team. We've got many different minds, from permaculture gardeners to teachers, software engineers, and more. It's been a great study in trying to understand how can we live well with less.
Yeah.
And to your point, today's topic is Goldilocks period. What is a Goldilocks period? Maybe this might be fun. Let me ask you what you think it is.
Right.
And then I'll define it as I understand it. We can unpack it for all of our listeners.
Okay.
What do you think a Goldilocks period is?
Well, naturally Goldilocks is, a fairy tale, and it's about her whole thing was finding something that was just perfect, not too hot, not too cold, so just perfect. Yeah. And since it's called the Goldilocks period, I'm assuming the Goldilocks period was a time in history where things were just right. And I know we're talking about mainly Americans here, and I'm going to assume Goldilocks period was the time where things were about as good as they could have been for our economy and our overall being as Americans. And I'm assuming that we're moving out of that period, and that's the transition that we're kind of talking about.
Yeah, that's it. No, that's
Okay.
That's a good summary.
Look at that.
Yeah, it's talking about periods that were not too hot, not too cold, just right. And the metaphor is economic. It is, health of the middle class. We're not talking about just temperature alone, but you can even factor that in,
right? Yeah.
If you want. I mean,
Yeah.
So yeah, Goldilocks period. It's a phase where the conditions are right for a society to thrive and grow. And there have been different Goldilocks periods throughout history for different nations, different countries, different tribes, different empires.
That makes sense.
I'm sure the Aztecs and the Mayan empires had a Goldilocks period where they were riding high before those civilizations crumbled and faded away.
Yeah, that's kind of stark to think about. No civilization really lasts.
No, they all have a cycle. There are so many interesting books and studies about these cycles. Neil Howe, I believe that's the author's name, I need to double check, but Neil Howe has written these books about the turnings and how we're in the 4th turning, where a turning lasts about a generation.
Okay.
And every country, every empire has its season of, struggle and heartache and trying to figure out who they are and break out of some type of bondage. The rise, where they rise up and they're growing, they're thriving. You begin in winter with the struggle. Then you rise in spring. And then summer is a season of decadence and excess. And then there's the fall, which is actually a decline.
Yeah.
Back into winter.
Yeah.
Nature's full of cycles, and so are societies are too. What's troubling and what's challenging for us humans is we live such short lives. No human lives during all 4 of those seasons of a society. Mm-hmm. So we think, my grandparents experienced this, so I'll probably experience this.
Right.
But we're at a different phase in this cycle.
Right. And are you saying we're late summer right now, or are we already kind of in early fall?
Oh, I think we're in mid-fall.
Mid-fall.
And it's not just me. The authors that I read, let me list a few off. Peter Zion, who's a demographer. He's analyzed how the world's beginning to break apart from the globalized order we've experienced post-World War II. The U.S. empire effectively is pulling back, and we're going to see a multipolarized world. Populations are declining in many developed countries.
Right.
So he sees us at the end of this period of ridiculous abundance from the last 30, 40, 50 years. Peter Turchin is a data scientist who just published a book called End Times, and he talks about the same thing, where we're entering an era of instability, more chaos, more confusion. Now, it's not all doom and gloom. They talk about there are boom times that could be on the other end of this, but those could be decades away.
Okay.
After the political strife, after all the changes occur and the dust settles. Because right now, American politics are such a mess.
Right.
The parties don't know who they are. There are more and more instances of infighting, and Americans' trust in institutions is at an all-time low.
Yeah.
We don't trust the government. We don't trust, in many cases, big agriculture, big medicine, big corporation, Wall Street. Americans don't trust these big institutions, and when that occurs, there's going to be upheaval.
Right. One thing I've kind of seen, to your point right there, looking at older videos or older just articles of politics and whatnot, when I see older videos on YouTube from like early 2000s and just kind of seeing old like news blurbs and whatnot, I saw like a pretty great like division between like left and right, Democrats and Republicans, and there's definitely that today, but people kind of would feel like they could just go to their side and be kind of safe and well. But today I've noticed there's a lot more people that are kind of saying like there's issues in both parties. I want to get away from all of it. And it's been interesting seeing that. Like it's no longer like a safe haven to kind of run to one big party or one big like truth or whatnot. Now it's just like I just want to get out of everything and just,
right.
get out.
Absolutely. I think that is prompting an opt-out movement,
Yeah.
which I consider myself a part of. I look at the craziness in the two-party system and want nothing to do with any of it.
Right. Me either.
And I think most of it's just a distraction from beneficial projects we could be doing locally.
Right.
So I don't really give too much thought to all the bickering and the infighting and the headlines. Red, blue, I don't really care anymore. And I think more people are checking out
Right.
like that,
Right.
realizing it's a game. It's a big game. But at the end of the day, getting my guy into office, I don't think in those terms at all. I think in terms of how much fuel can a methane digester produce for me? How much food could we grow to where it's fun, but we're not subsistence farmers?
Right.
How low can my property taxes be with a conservation easement?
Yeah.
How much free time can I get back with my family? So I guess we're chasing a rabbit here because we need to circle back to Goldilocks period.